Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Gordon Frayne. We are back with another video. Today we're talking about Ethereum and are we seeing ETH starting to lead a potential altcoin rally? As always, if you enjoy the content, please make sure to smash the thumbs up button below, hit subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and don't forget to grab your completely free copy of The Rise of Bitcoin, linked below this video in the description. Grab it now and let's talk about Ethereum. We look at what's been happening with Ethereum here over the past couple of weeks. We've actually been maintaining a really nice sideways channel in terms of its price action. Now, yes, we have been rejected by the 200-day simple moving average, which is holding as resistance for Ethereum over the past couple of weeks, but moving sideways here, putting in a nice consolidation pattern is actually looking even better than what Bitcoin has been doing over the same time period. We can clearly see Bitcoin got all the way up to new all-time highs at 112,000 and has pulled back a few percentage points over the past week or so. We're down about 5.5% for Bitcoin, while Ethereum has been moving sideways and continuing to consolidate. A couple of other key charts that I think are important here, especially if we're thinking about the context for a potential altcoin season, is the ETH BTC chart. And if we bring that up, once again, we can see that Ethereum eventually found this, what is looking like a bottom against Bitcoin, and over the past few weeks has made a significant move to the upside and began to outperform, all while consolidating against Bitcoin here again over the past few weeks. So on a percentage basis, since finding these lows at the middle of April, Ethereum has outperformed Bitcoin by about 38%. That is a huge outperformance over a 41-day period. And if we zoom out on the chart here again, just looking at how we came all the way down to this major level of support before eventually getting that bounce, and we're seeing that outperformance over the past couple of weeks. This level of support goes all the way back to 2019 and 2020, and it's amazing that we had to come all the way down here for ETH against Bitcoin to find that support, to get a bounce. And what I'm wondering and questioning in my own mind is, are we about to see a larger move for Ethereum against Bitcoin in order, firstly, to reclaim that 200-day simple moving average, but then make a much larger move to the upside, much like we saw during the altcoin season of the last cycle? Again, I'm not sure if we're going to see it on quite an exaggerated basis, just like we saw back in 2021, but this move, at least finding a bottom against Bitcoin, starting to move to the upside and outperforming Bitcoin by 30 to 40% over the past month and a half, is certainly boding well for Ethereum, the Ethereum ecosystem, and the altcoin market as a whole. And what I'm beginning to see when I look at some of the stuff happening behind the scenes, looking at some of the stuff happening from an on-chain technical perspective, is Ethereum is gathering some steam. We have Ethereum looking at year to date now. Ethereum is back up to being the top network by total flows, total net flows, i.e. the total inflows are considerably outweighing the total outflows for Ethereum year to date since January 1st. This was not the case just a couple of months ago. We had seen Base, Solana, Sonic, and newer comers like Berachain actually significantly outperforming Ethereum when it came to top net flows. Over the past 3 months, zooming in, again, you can see Ethereum significantly outperforming everything when it comes to top net flows by chain. And zooming into the 1 month and 7-day chart, you can see that outperformance is even more exaggerated. We've had $5 billion of inflows into Ethereum in the past 30 days. The nearest competitor, Injective, Polygon, and Say, are only looking at, 143 to $500 million. So Ethereum is outperforming everything in terms of net flows by at least a 10x multiple over the past month, even more over the past 7 days. You're looking at net flows of 690 million, whereas the nearest competitor is at 61 million, more than a 10x outperformance in net flows. What does this mean? It means there's more capital flowing onto the Ethereum network. Again, some of the upgrades they've made in the past month or two have meant that it is indeed cheaper to transact on the network. We're not seeing quite the extortionate gas fees that we have historically seen. Again, It's not perfect and it's not quite as cheap as some other leading L1 chains like Sui and Solana, but a significant improvement in those gas fees means, at least it's indicating, that people are more comfortable bringing capital back on chain onto Ethereum mainnet to transact, to provide liquidity, and to generate yield. Again, this is boding pretty well when we look at some of the ETF flows for Ethereum as well. We've seen a big uptick since the beginning of May for inflows into the Ethereum ETF. What we're also seeing is Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin when it comes to the ETF flows, which we'll look at in a moment as well. But we're finally seeing some real signs of acceptance for Ethereum in the traditional finance world. And I've been speaking about this for a few months on the channel. I think the biggest or the most promising use case for Ethereum is going to come from institutions and traditional finance and real world asset tokenization. It is becoming the de facto chain for real world asset tokenization. When you look at the tokenization of US treasuries, potentially with bonds and stocks coming very, very soon as well. You've got Larry Fink, a big advocate of Ethereum, and him really pushing for the SEC to give greater regulatory clarity about the tokenization of stocks. I think what we might see playing out here, and I think this is the best route for Ethereum to gain more market share, is for Ethereum to become the de facto chain for institutions and traditional finance to on-ramp their clients into the world of blockchain technology. Remember, we know Ethereum is slow and clunky and even a little bit expensive as retail investors, but that is still, a world apart from the legacy systems. It is much quicker, much faster, and much cheaper than the legacy systems these traditional financial institutions are used to using. And again, even just looking here in the past few days, June 2nd, 2025, Bitcoin ETF flows were negative 267 million, while Ethereum ETF flows were plus 78 million for the day. So we're seeing a bit of a change in the tide when it comes to everything for Ethereum versus Bitcoin. It's not just price action happening on the chart. You're seeing it reflected with the flows happening on chain and with the ETF flows and the purchasing of those ETF purchases as well. BlackRock just selling 130 million worth of Bitcoin and buying 48 million worth of Ethereum. Again, read into that what you want, but I think we could be seeing the very early stages of a shift towards emphasis on Ethereum, potentially even this institutional rotation from Bitcoin into Ethereum. And we know when Ethereum begins to make these moves, the rest of the altcoin market will begin to follow in hot pursuit. But we can't get too far ahead of ourselves. I would like to see, or really need to see, Ethereum reclaiming that 200-day simple moving average to keep moving and outperforming Bitcoin over the next few weeks and months. And again, it looks like a bit of a bull flag pattern forming here to get a breakout to retest. I'd like to see that play out and us move higher to really signal a true altcoin season, because if we look at total 3 minus stablecoin market cap and price it in Bitcoin terms, we're still looking at significant underperformance of altcoins compared to Bitcoin over the past number of months since those middle of December highs. And again, we really need to see Ethereum moving higher, which would allow total 3 and most of the altcoin market to begin outperforming Bitcoin when priced in Bitcoin terms, to see this chart have a breakout, continue to move higher, and that would really signal a true alt season, just like we had a mini version of that over here in November of 2024. So I hope this is all making sense, guys. Last time I made an updated price target video for Ethereum, I was looking at these potential prices of Ethereum getting just under 6K in a bear case, getting up to about 9,400 in a base case, and about 12,900 in a bull case by the peak of this particular cycle. Let me know in the comments below, do you want an updated price target video for Ethereum breaking down the bear case, base case, and bull case scenarios? If we get enough comments on the video below, I will put that together and tell you guys what I think for the potential of Ethereum here over the course of this cycle. But we are seeing some pretty nice moves being made on that Ethereum chart against US dollar, and of course on that Ethereum chart versus Bitcoin as well. Let's see what happens over the coming weeks, but we could be at that very early stage of the onset for an altcoin rotation. Remember, guys, today's video is sponsored by Bitunix, your go-to global crypto derivatives exchange. Bitunix is a non-KYC exchange, so if you are a person who values your privacy and do not want to be KYC'd for using a crypto exchange, Bitchenix is a good solution for you. I'm going to leave a link in the description below this video for Bitchenix. Check it out if you want. It is a referral link. Do with that what you will. Again, this is not financial advice, guys. Always make sure to do your own research from a fundamental perspective and a technical perspective when you're looking at the charts. Don't forget to look at what's happening from an on-chain perspective as well. That tells the true story. That's it for today's video, guys. As always, if you got any value at all out of this video, please just take 3 seconds, drop a like, drop a thumbs up on the video, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell notification icon, and once again, you've got a completely free copy of The Rise of Bitcoin waiting for you in the description below this video. Grab it now, and we'll catch you in the next one.